Hello, this is Pavel, and this is today's operating brief, where I look at technology from the position of the business operator. I want to step back today from AI. AI is important, it is a big part of what is happening now, but I do not want to talk about AI as a whole story because I do not believe that. AI is the next step in a longer movement. Service companies are becoming technology companies. And if you run a service company, the question is not only which AI tool we should use. The better question is which part of the business is still running on memory, habit, private spreadsheet, inboxes, and personal heroics? Because that is where the technology leadership starts. Dan Sullivan has a line I like. Technology is automated teamwork. That is a very simple sentence, but it is explaining why so many technology projects fail. People buy software before the teamwork is reliable. They buy the CRM before the sales process is clear. They buy the project management tool before the handoffs are clear. They buy AI before the company knows what good work look like. Technology does not replace teamwork, it encodes teamwork. If the teamwork is clear, repeatable, and understood, technology can make it faster, can make it visible, and can make it less dependent on one person. But if teamwork is messy, the tool does not magically fix it. The tool usually exposes the mess. For the service company, this is the first technology leadership lesson. Do not start with the tool, start with the work. Pick one workflow, customer intake, scheduling, claims, onboarding, billing, reporting, whatever matters most. Write down how the work should move from person to person and system to system. Only then ask which technology should encode it. Technology works best when it is not asked to invent the business process. It works best when it is asked to make a good process run. The tool is not a teamwork. The tool is the teamwork made visible. When business people hear technology governance, they often hear bureaucracy. Committees, policies, slowness, someone from IT saying no. But that's not what good technology governance is. Good governance is decision rights. Who can approve a new system? Who owns the customer data? Who can create an admin account? Who decides whether a vendor is safe enough? Who can change a workflow that touches billing or customer promises? Those are business questions first. Technology just makes them impossible to avoid. Every company already has governance. The only question is whether it is explicit or accidental. If a manager signs up for a tool with a credit card, that is a governance. The one employee has the admin password because they set it up years ago, that is governance. If customer data is copied from spreadsheets because the official system is painful, that is governance too. It is and managed governance. For the service company becoming a technology company, this is a big shift. Technology decisions cannot be treated like random tool choices anymore. They become operating decisions. The move is simple: create a technology decision map. List your critical systems. For each one, write down the business owner, the technical owner, who can approve changes, who can approve access, and what happens when something breaks. That is not bureaucracy. That is how business keeps moving without guessing. Here's one place where the business leadership and technology leadership meet very directly: access. In the physical business, people understand authority. Not everyone gets the key to the office. Not everyone can sign a check. Not everyone can approve payroll. Not everyone can see every HR file. But in software, companies get strangely casual. People keep access after they change roles. Former employees stay in the system too long. Shared admin accounts float around. Sensitive reports get copied into places where nobody knows who can see them. This is not an IT housekeeping issue. Access is authority in software. If someone can see the data, export the data, changes the workflow, delete the record, approve invoice, or invite another user, they have business authority whether the org chart says so or not. And this becomes even more important with AI, because AI increases the reach of whoever has access. A person who could see 10 records manually may be able to ask a tool to summarize thousands. So the old business rule becomes sharper. Authority must be intentional. The move is to review the 5 most important systems in the company. For each one, ask who has admin access, who has expert access, who can approve changes, who review access when people changes roles, and is multi-factor authentication turned on? That sounds technical, but it is really leadership. You are deciding who is allowed to act on behalf of the company inside the software. Another technology mistake is believing that having a data means the company has information. Ken and Shaheen made a distinction I like. Data is source-oriented. It becomes information only when the person receive it can use it in a context. A dashboard full of numbers is not automatically information. A report is not automatically insight. A system full of records is not automatically knowledge. For the business leader, the question is, what decision should this data help someone make? If nobody knows, the company may be collecting data and still managing by gut feel. This is very common in service companies. The system captures timestamps, notes, statuses, documents, customer messages, service events, exceptions, and approvals. And when the owner asks, are we getting better? The answer is still a story, not a signal. That is the gap between data and information. Technology leadership closes the gap by starting from the decision. What does the dispatcher need to know before the day starts? What does the operator manager needs to see every week? What does finance need to catch before the month end? What does the customer need to know before calling? Then build a report, dashboard, alert, or workflow backward from that decision. The move this week is to pick up one report and ask a hard question. What decision does this report actually improve? And if the answer is unclear, either redesign it or stop pretending it is a management information. The last point is resilience. A company could look stable and still be fragile. Everything works as long as the key person is there, the spreadsheet does not break, the vendor is online, the admin remembers the password, and nobody changes the work setting. This is not resilience. This is luck with the routine. In technology, we talk about incidents, postmortems, backups, recovery, monitoring, access reviews, and buzz factors. Business people sometimes hear that as a technical detail. But underneath all of this, a very business question. Can the company keep the promise when something goes wrong? If one person leaves and nobody knows how billing works, that is a technology problem and a business problem. If a system goes down and nobody knows the manual workaround, that is a technology problem and the customer promise problem. If a mistake happens and the company only blames the person, the system does not learn. Technology-run companies treat failure differently. When something breaks, they ask, what is the system allows things to happen and what changes prevent that repeat? That is not softness. That is engineering discipline. The move is to choose one recent operation failure, a missed deadline, wrong invoice, a lost request, customer complaint, delayed handoff, system outage, run a short, blameless postmortem. What happened? What signals were missed? What dependency was hidden? What control failed? What will we change in the system? That is how the company becomes stronger after a problem instead of just tired. Resilience is not something you announce. It is something you build into the way the company learns. So this is the bigger point. AI matters, but AI only one part of the technology shift. The deeper shift is that service companies are moving from informal operating habits to technology-run operating systems. Teamwork becomes software. Decision rights become governance. Authority becomes access. Data becomes information. Failure becomes learning. Resilience becomes designed, not hoped for. That's what it means for a service company to become a technology company. Not because every company becomes a software company overnight, because the business controls that used to live on people's head now have to live in systems. The tool is never the point. What it changes is. That's all for today, and I'll talk to you soon.